supportive jurisdiction. Yes, thank you. I keep forgetting to start. Okay. For the recording, Jack Wolfling here from the Department of Local Government and the grant manager for the ADU grant program. So the grant program is a little separate from the supportive jurisdiction and subject jurisdiction certification process. That is kind of prior to this. So once you've gone through that process and are certified as a supportive jurisdiction, you become eligible to apply for the ADU grant for activities that promote the construction of ADUs. The statute that this all comes out of also has an additional $8 million in funding for homeowners. So, as a quick note, if we have any homeowners on the call, I'm not sure if, just judging by the emails, if we have anyone who might be interested in building an ADU. I've received some emails from those folks on an individual level. So, just as an FYI, this is only for local governments. The $8 million in ADU funding through CHAFA will be when it gets started later this fall, the funding mechanism for individuals who are interested in working on an ADU. So if you are a homeowner, you can feel free to leave, but also feel free to stay if you'd like to learn, if you are interested in this, in discussions with your own local government, then you are also welcome to stay. The CHAFA funding is also only going to be available to residents of jurisdictions that are ADU supportive jurisdictions. So kind of a similar criteria to those jurisdictions themselves applying to the ADU grant program. So while we will be focusing on our grant program, there is this additional program that can latch onto it if you choose to become a support jurisdiction. But of course, we will, and I think as Mitch has put in the chat, CHAFA will be taking the lead on that, and they'll be the point people on it when they are able to set that up this fall. So what can the ADU grant program fund? So we have basically two streams, two types of funding, two types of budget line items that are that you can apply for funding for. It's the same funding stream, but in one bucket we have the planning activities. So these are probably internal or possibly like contract activities that are working on the planning and approval internal side of the ADU construction process. So this would include developing pre-approved plans for ADUs, developing an incentive program for the construction, providing technical assistance to homeowners, to individuals who are converting or constructing ADUs. And the second line item is for direct financial assistance. So this would be waivers, fee reductions, other kinds of direct financial assistance to reduce the costs for homeowners applying to be able to build or convert an ADU. Local governments you can request funds from both categories. You can mix and match as you please, but the line item for financial assistance is restricted based on the ADUs that you have already approved. That's kind of how this side is calculated by the statute. So what we will do is in your application, you'll let us know how many ADUs you've previously permitted between May 13th of last year and August 29th of this year, the end of the application period. And you are limited to requesting $15,000 per ADU permitted in that period, specifically for the financial assistance line item. This doesn't apply to planning activities. So planning activities, you can request the budget based on what you think would work best. But for the financial assistance component, there's that ceiling. Also, just to be sure to clarify, the $15,000 per ADU is not a guarantee of receiving that level of funding. That's just the maximum that you can request on it. But certainly we encourage you, especially if you already have a lot of ADUs coming in, to take that into account as an option. So, who is eligible? So, this, of course, is local governments. As I mentioned before, the local government has to be certified as an ADU supportive jurisdiction, and we can clarify for us that the certification has to be completed by the time you apply, so that will be a required component of the application. If you are not familiar with that process, to basically to be certified as an ADU supportive jurisdiction, first you must be in compliance with the ADU regulatory sections of the authorizing statute. And then you must have implemented at least one of the ADU supportive strategies to encourage and facilitate the construction and conversion of accessory dwelling units. So basically, in more plain language, if you are compliant with the law, and then on top of that, have a little bit of program already going, that will make you eligible to apply for our funding to continue with that momentum and continue expanding that program. If you have, and I'll get to this in another slide or two, but just if you have any questions about the process for being certified, the nitty-gritty details of being certified as an ADU supported jurisdiction, that is handled by our technical assistance team. You're certainly welcome to email me about that as well, and I can direct you. But I know that they are working hard on reviewing and getting those applications approved, so that you are able to get the document and upload it if you are applying to the ADU grant program. I'll pause for questions in a couple slides. So certainly I encourage you to raise hands if you have questions, but then we will pause in just a second here to make sure that we have a good foundation for them. So the ADU supportive strategies there are 10 of them. If you are already working on a supportive jurisdiction application, they should be pretty familiar to you already. But as a quick review, so waiving fees, providing financial assistance targeted at low to moderate income households, enacting local laws that incentivize affordability, and sort of target them as providing support for local workforce housing, providing pre-approved plans for the construction of ADUs, implementing a program for technical assistance for residents that are trying to build an ADU, regulating ADU use for short-term rentals, incentivizing ADA accessible and visitable ADUs, assisting property owners that are trying to bring existing ADUs into compliance with your local regulations, establishing a pathway for separate sale, enacting local laws that encourage factory-built ADU construction in your local government jurisdiction. And finally, we have the other category, number 10. You can get creative, but we do need to see and approve that a different supportive strategy. We will have to evaluate it to make sure that it is similar in its impact and effectiveness in complying with the intent of the statute, to the same degree that the 9 enumerated ones are. So certainly we encourage that, but definitely reach out to us if you have a plan that doesn't fit neatly into one of the 9 categories there already. So for the statutory deadlines and application guidance, so for the first one, you will note that this is in the past, so that June 30th date is part of the first stage of the ADU program of implementing compliance with the law. So the technical assistance team on our website has the list of subject jurisdictions. Note this is separate from supportive jurisdictions that have to comply with the law by June 30th, 2025. If you are not in that process and you go to the website and see that your local government is on that list, don't panic. Just reach out to us, and our technical assistance team will contact you and basically get you going on compliance. If you have already applied prior to that date, then that's looking good. If you are not on that list, if you're not a subject jurisdiction, you are still free to become a supportive jurisdiction, but that's just an opt-in. That's your choice. You have the same requirements. You'll need to meet the that we discussed earlier on in this slide deck, and you'll have to then demonstrate that you are implementing at least one of those supportive strategies. But there isn't any deadline on that, apart from our recommendation that if you are just getting started with that process, it is probably unlikely that you'd be able to be certified in time to really put together a application for this first preliminary round of grants. But we are also planning a second round in early 2026. So getting started early still helps. And there is, I guess, possibly a chance that if it cramps through, you can meet that deadline. But just wanted to give a word of warning that because you would need to start the supportive jurisdiction certification process and then do the ADU grant program application, it will be a bit of a tight time frame to get into the preliminary round. But we are looking at that second round and possibly a third round if funding allows. We'll also put the links on the right here, the guidance links in the chat. So the grant program applications are handled through our DLG grants portal. If it's not familiar to you, we also have our YouTube channel with instructions on setting yourself up there. We'll also be able to help you with any questions of setting up an account or gaining access to an old account. And then our website also has more information about the supportive strategies. We're also working on that ADU toolkit, which goes into even more depth with more fleshed out examples of use, so that you can have something to think about as you consider these supportive strategies you're devising. Yeah. All right, if we could have Nicola describe the funding
Sure.
application process slide here.
So the funding that we have available for this fiscal year is about 1.6 million. In order to apply, you need to be in audit, budget, and election compliance before we do the contract. If for some reason one of those things is in process, that's fine, but it has to be final before we can award and finish the contract. And you don't need to specify that on your application. We will verify that. We are requesting a minimum of 25% local match. If you are experiencing a financial hardship and want a reduced match, please talk to us first, and we can discuss that and see if a reduced match is appropriate. When you apply, you're going to use the DLG grants portal. If you've had any kind of grant with us in the past, it's the same portal, and it's the same process if you've done it already. If you have any problems with getting into the application, let me know and I can help you with that. There is a link here to confirm if you are a subject jurisdiction, just in case you don't have that information. And then we will post the application questions as a PDF so you can draft your responses before you put it into the portal. The portal does tend to be a little bit slow, so it doesn't always register your activity. Even if you're typing, it doesn't always register that as activity, and then it times you out. So ideally, you would draft any long narrative responses before applying in the portal, and you'll want to do your budget worksheet for that too. So that's that part of the process.
Thank you. So for the funding timeline, this Friday is when this preliminary round opens on the DLG grants portal. Notice of funding availability will also go out. You'll be able to look at the application. You won't be able to submit until we've certified you as a supportive jurisdiction, since we can control that on the back end, but you should be able to look at that. We'll also have, of course, all of the questions from the portal on our website. We're in the process of getting some of these documents uploaded right now. The application close date is set for August 29th. We know that there are some questions about the timeline for the certification process. We may extend that based on how our processing of those supportive jurisdiction certifications is going. We are definitely aiming to have that complete for everyone to be able to submit by 5 p.m. on the 29th. And then in later, like in September, we will be able to make our preliminary rounds award decisions. We'll give out notices of award, which are, of course, not the executed contracts. And then finally, a little after that, still in fall, that's when we anticipate being able to execute contracts and begin spending. So there will be a few attachments. The project budget worksheet will be available for download from our website. As that gets uploaded, the supportive jurisdiction certification, we will also need you to upload that. You'll also receive that from us, from the technical assistance team, once that process is complete. Um, Section for the optional upload of any additional documents such as letters of support, other contractor scopes of work, other aspects of your proposal as needed. All right. So I'd like to pause here for questions. We have a couple anticipated questions that I've put up on the screen, but certainly